Hello everyone, it's me Bryson P. Welcome to another video. Today we're going to be checking out the Second Thought channel again, and this is the You're Probably Already a Socialist video. Since we've already looked at videos of the economic system in Sweden or of the Nordic culture, and we're still learning a lot about that, I really still don't have a full understanding of socialism. And I do know that, it's not true socialism what you guys have. So let's get some more information on what socialism actually is, or what Second Thought claims socialism to actually be. So let's get right into it and see what You're Probably Already a Socialist is. Here we go.
We're going to try something new in this episode. I talk a lot about the problems of capitalism and the challenges we face. As important as that kind of analysis is, it can make socialists like me come off as very negative people. So, in this video, I'm going to talk about what makes socialism a positive worldview, and suggest that you might already be a socialist and just not know it yet. Before we begin, let me ask one small favor of you, the viewer. If you're watching this in the US, there's a very high likelihood that you have a negative opinion of the word socialism. That's okay. If you want to go ahead and leave a thumbs down on this video, that's perfectly fine. I would just ask that you stick around till the end. You might change your mind, and even if you don't, you'll at least have a better understanding of what socialism actually means than if you just hear the term misused on TV. I'll include a bunch of resources and further reading in the description if you're interested in learning more. As one final disclaimer to my friends on the left, I'm using the term socialism very broadly here, as a sort of catch-all for generally leftist thought. This episode is more for the people who are interested in learning what distinguishes the left from typical American capitalist perspectives. So?
Okay, well that's pretty well I don't want to say it fully defines me, but it defines me to an extent. So hopefully this will give me more clarity. Let's go.
With all that in mind, let's get started. I think we should start with the distinction between liberals and the left. This is something that trips up a lot of people, and it doesn't help that the media seems to use the two terms interchangeably. Let's start with what the two camps have in common. Both leftists and liberals care about democratic governance and believe in universal human rights. But liberals, contrary to what many conservative news figures will tell you, still put their faith in capitalist market-based economics. They believe that the problems in our capitalist society stem from corrupt individuals, and if we simply root out these bad actors and pursue incremental reform, the system can function properly. Leftists have a different perspective. They believe that the problems we face are inherent to capitalism, and that the system is functioning exactly how it's supposed to. The left sees the problems identified by liberals not as problems within capitalism, but as a byproduct of a properly functioning capitalist machine. Capitalism cannot solve the problems it creates because that would impede growth. So leftists believe that we need to move beyond capitalism in favor of a better system. One of the most important distinctions to make between liberals and the left is that the left is concerned primarily with materialism. That is, the material realities of people's lives. Let's take an example policy proposal: student debt cancellation. For a liberal, canceling even $1,000 of debt would be a huge symbolic victory. For a socialist, the amount canceled and the total amount of indebtedness are less important than most people's more immediate concern: being able to pay the installment every month. The material reality for most students is the challenge of affording the monthly payment. If that challenge is not addressed, then the policy does not materially improve that person's life, and is therefore insufficient. Let's take another example: Medicare for all.
So, here's a good maybe thought for education. And I've talked with my mom about this many times, and I've talked with, of course, many other people about it. You have free education because you pay for it in other ways, make up through taxes and other ways of means, right? It's still paid for, it's just paid for by the people. Where here we pay for it individual by like subsidiary loans, student Pell Grant loans, and different things. But whenever you've got someone who, say, they go and they spend all the time that they do in order to become a doctor or psychiatrist or pharmacist or anything that requires many years of schooling, and then they end up in a couple $100,000 in student debt. But yet then you've got other people who go to college for a handful of years and then either drop out or aren't able to pay. If you graduate college or graduate university, then you get, that's paid for and it's free education. However, if you drop out or you don't complete your education, then it's paid for. Then it's not paid for. And you got to pay for it back. then you get to an issue then is, well, there's a lot of issues and there's a lot of things that could come up that would prevent you from being able to finish your education. So then how is that fair to that person that they had a legitimized reason why they, or even to them, it may not be legitimate to you, but it's legitimate to them, and there's a reason why they were not able to finish that education. So how's that right then to impose them to pay for their education back? However, if that's just the way that it would still be more of a incentive to actually finish that education and to go to college, because a lot of people don't even go to college or go to university because they know the expensiveness of it. They know that there's no way they're going to be able to pay it back. There's a lot of things that we can improve on, and we're just getting into this.
This is a big one for the left because making healthcare free at the point of service would have an immediate and enormous material impact on the average person's life. If you can afford to go to the doctor, you could literally be extending your life by having access to the medicine you need. For liberals, they'd be happy with a program that kind of covers some people but only under certain circumstances, and private healthcare has to stay, of course. And then when they pass that bill, they consider it a huge victory. Same with race relations. The liberals are content to kneel in traditional African garb and paint Black Lives Matter over a street, but they fail to address any of the actual material concerns of the Black Lives Matter movement. That's the difference: symbolic victories versus actual material change. To the left, the most important thing is materially improving the lives of normal people. Okay, now you should have a better understanding of the whole left versus liberal thing. But just to refresh, liberals may genuinely care about people, but their policies do not adequately improve people's lives. They still want to operate under the capitalist system and therefore are not part of the left. Let's take a minute to consider which of these worldviews is more appealing to you. I'd wager that most people are more concerned with their material realities than winning empty symbolic victories. You want to see tangible benefits to your own life and the lives of your neighbors. People have economic concerns and they need to be addressed. We inherently understand this, that we need to look out for ourselves and each other, and that's a key pillar of socialism. I think there's a lot to be said for things we inherently understand. If you were to ask a 7-year-old what we should do about people who don't have a place to live, or enough food to eat, or the medicine they need to live, what do you think they'd say? They'd say we should give those people what they need. Humans are a social and altruistic species. We all start out with these morals, and then we're slowly indoctrinated into capitalism as we grow. And it's not like we couldn't afford more humanitarian policies.
Here's a prime example right here on what he's talking about and how we go from, basic needs and understanding someone's necessities and being like creatures of caring and helping out one another to just full-blown, capitalistic and just views that don't even make sense to me. But let me give you a prime example. The American rapper Kodak Black, over the 4th of July holiday, he was at the Golden Acres housing project in Pompano Beach, Florida. He purchased 100 air conditioners worth a total of $12,500 and hand-delivered them to the residents there. Kodak shared a video of the event on social media where he said, "We out here passing out ACs, helping install them. We do it for the projects. We do it for the projects. The people relying on just enough cash to survive. We'll get you all ACs, man. We out here." The singer went on to note that he grew up poor in a similar area and loves giving back. It's hot right now. The heat will bring a little frustration. Sometimes that calls people to act out. I remember when I had to take from people, the 24-year-old said. So now I'm blessed enough to give back. That's what I like to do. We out here passing out ACs, helping install them, all that right now. But as the saying goes, no good deed goes unpunished, and Kodak's actions quickly came under fire. The Housing Authority of Pompano Beach sent the performing artist a cease and desist letter claiming his presence in the community caused a disturbance. In their letter, the Housing Authority wrote, "Your actions have adversely impacted the property's residents' right to peacefully enjoy the property." Black's lawyer responded with his own letter criticizing the government for its wish to stop the assistance to the elderly and underprivileged during a heat wave and a second-year pandemic. So that's how a simple good deed goes. Of course, you can't do that because you're causing a disturbance or you're doing something wrong to someone else because maybe someone didn't get what everyone else got. It's just a messy system.
It would just mean corporations wouldn't make as much money, and that's a deal breaker under capitalism. Another key part of socialist ideology is democracy. Democracy is about as American as apple pie. We're always talking about how we have a strong democracy, how democracy is what makes our country great. And yet, our elected officials, both Democrats and Republicans, fight tooth and nail against expanding democracy. They're constantly making it harder to vote, or giving corporations more power over their workers, or refusing to acknowledge the rights of certain groups. Socialists want to expand democracy. We believe in the ability of the people to make decisions for themselves. We should be able to elect our officials directly, not let other people choose them for us. Our elections are unnecessarily complex, the Electoral College is a silly system, and politics has become little more than a sporting event. Socialists want to give electoral power back to the people so we can directly vote for policies that would improve the lives of average people, not continue to enrich the already obscenely wealthy and powerful. We should have a say in how our workplaces are run, not be beholden to every counterproductive corporate initiative. If you've ever worked in retail, you know just how badly the stores are managed. Take Best Buy, for example. I used to work at Best Buy as a camera expert. My job description was to help people find the best camera to suit their needs. I was good at it. I love cameras and I know how to pick the best one for any application. But, like any retail environment, the managers would swoop in, tell us how to do our jobs, and we'd end up with unhappy customers or feel horrible about ourselves for pressuring people to sign up for credit cards they don't need. Workers aren't stupid. We know how to run our departments better than the managers do. Socialists want to flatten labor hierarchies as much as possible and bring real democracy to the workplace. Workers should be able to elect their managers, and should make up at least part of every company's board. We believe that the rights of all humans are universal, that we're all created equal, no matter the color of our skin.
I think big corporations, especially major ones, like your CEOs that have never worked in the field, I feel like they should have to go work in the field. That way they get an understanding of what the little guy goes through on a daily basis, right? Why not? I mean, if I was a CEO to a major company, I would want to. Because I've done it. I've of course worked bottom end jobs and worked my way to where I am now. It might not be a grand gesture of a job, but I'm happy with what I have at the moment. But if I was the CEO of some major corporation and I'm trying to figure out, what I could do to better the people or to better the morale and to boost things, why don't you go and step in their shoes and actually work for more than just a day? Or 2 days. Go actually do it for a few weeks. You're the CEO. You have the time. You have the ability to clear your schedule, to make a meeting or to set a future date where I'm going to go do this. That's just my philosophy on it. I do. I think that people in that high power position, they should also have to, they should go down, or at least willingly. You shouldn't even be forced to. You should just willingly want to go down there and work at the same level. Because if you did, you would understand the type of environment that you've created for your employees. And you'd be like, dang, I wouldn't come to work and do this every day for this pay. But that doesn't happen. That's unfortunate.
Or where we come from, or our sex, gender, ability, or who we love. No one should be considered a second-class citizen because of some immutable characteristic. We believe everyone should truly get a fair shake, and there's nothing more American than that. Okay, that's all well and good, but don't socialists want to take away people's freedom and make us all poor? On the contrary, we believe that capitalism stands in the way of real freedom, and we want to fix that. Are you really free to live your life if you spend 10 or 12 hours a day working for someone else? If you don't have health insurance because your employer won't provide it and it's too expensive on the free market, are you really free to buy the medicine you need? Are you really free to buy a home if you're barely able to make rent? Sure, capitalism allows for the possibility of such things, but you're not really free to achieve them if the very system is hell-bent on making them impossible to reach. Socialism addresses all of these concerns. In a more humane, post-capitalist society, all workers would make a fair wage, and they would have control over many of the day-to-day operations of their workplaces. Their lives would be materially better because they'd make more money, feel like their work is more meaningful, and work more reasonable hours when profit is not the sole driving factor. Healthcare would be free and universal, so you wouldn't have to worry about getting sick and going bankrupt trying to pay your medical bills. Modest homes could be guaranteed to each family, with the option of buying a large...
I still see a lot of your comments about some of your illnesses or ailments that you have or injuries that you've experienced throughout your lives and the amount that you have not paid in contrast to the amount that I've paid, such as for my broken leg or just any other injury that I've talked about, or just the cost of the inhaler that I've mentioned in previous videos. And I still see those comments, and it's wild how it costs practically nothing anywhere else, but yet thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars here in the States for just the smallest of ailments.
Larger one if that's what's important to you. The point is, socialism aims to expand your freedom, not take it away. The people who claim socialism is trying to steal your freedom are the same people who have a vested interest in keeping capitalism around. They'd have to pay their workers a fair wage, and that's not in keeping with the capitalist goal of ever-increasing profits. Now, let's address the socialism makes everyone poor fallacy. There's an expression on the left that encapsulates the vision of wealth redistribution, from each according to their ability, to each according to their need. In short, those with more money contribute more, and those with less money contribute less, all for the benefit of everyone in society. Some people may not like this idea at first, but think of it like this. Have you ever been to a potluck? If not, it's a kind of communal meal where everyone contributes something. Someone with more disposable income might provide steaks or seafood. Someone who's a good baker might bring delicious homemade pies. If you don't have the means to bring anything big or expensive, you could always contribute a bag of chips, some soda, or paper plates. These are all things that people can use and will appreciate. The end result of everyone contributing something is a meal that is greater than any one person could have enjoyed themselves. It's fun, it's communal, and it makes everyone feel like a part of something great. This is the vision of wealth redistribution in a nutshell. Now, apply this to society at large. Beautiful public parks for everyone to enjoy. High-speed public transportation that will make commuting much less stressful and cut pollution. Libraries where anyone can borrow books or movies or take classes. State-of-the-art schools for our children. This is a vision of the world that is possible if we can move beyond the toxic greed of capitalism. Does this all sound like you? Do you believe we need to address the material concerns of average people? Do you believe that everyone is created equal? That we should expand democracy? That healthcare and a decent standard of living are basic human rights? That we should work together to build a better tomorrow for everyone? That we need to move beyond capitalism to ensure a livable future? If this does sound like you, congratulations, you're a socialist. Now, there are plenty of different perspectives within the left. Some advocate for a classless, moneyless society.
I still don't know that I can classify myself as a socialist, though. I just don't know that I could do it. I mean, you guys know my views, and you've heard them. And you've heard them over the course of many videos now, especially whenever it comes to topics like this. I just don't know that I classify myself as a socialist. I don't know that I classify myself as a capitalist, because I really don't even know what I classify myself as. I don't necessarily put myself in a box.
Some for a form of market socialism, some for a near-complete flattening of hierarchies. But what they all have in common is a belief in equality, dignity, and the value of human life. And that's something we should all agree upon. So come on in. We'll be glad to have you.
Okay, so that was the second thought video for You're Probably Already a Socialist. And like I said, I don't know necessarily that I don't know that I can classify myself as a socialist. But again, I don't know that I classify myself as anything, as I just said. I don't put myself necessarily in a box. So, at least not yet. I'm still learning a lot, compared to what I've always known, and compared to the life that I've grown up having. There's so much that I really don't understand to classify myself as one thing or another. But again, I don't like to put labels on things. I like to be open-minded, and I like to put a clear lens on every perspective, so that way I can, paint a picture that actually makes sense and not just all one-sided or, a viewpoint that has blinders. I'm sure that as we continue to grow, there will be a lot more to come in which I will evolve my viewpoints more and evolve my thoughts on a lot of social subjects, and we'll see where the future takes us. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day, great night, whatever time it is that you see this, and goodbye.